I will be teaching you about Greece and how their advances and discoveries in science and math affected their lives, society, and our world today. Greece is known for its famous mathematicians and astronomers, but not a lot of people know who these people are and what they've achieved. A man by the name of Herodotus wrote the famous book called the Histories. This book tells us about how the Greeks saw the world around them. The book talks about an astronomer named Aristarchus of Samos, who stated that the Earth was not at the center of the solar system, but that it was the Sun. He is one of the first known people to present this idea of a heliocentric solar system. We aren't certain as to how he came to this conclusion, due to the fact that the original text has been lost to time. But one of his other books that talks about the sizes and distances of the Moon and Sun did survive. In this book, Aristarchus tells us how the Greeks had already known that both the Sun was further away from the Moon and that the Moon's size was 1/3 of the Earth's, based on lunar eclipses. His estimate from the distance of Earth to the Sun were inaccurate, but from Earth to the Moon were surprisingly accurate. Whoa. What just happened? Where did the video go? Bingus? What are you doing here? What? You're here to question us about what we just heard? And you'll give us candy if we answer it correctly? Wow, Bingus, you're so epic. First trivia question. Who was the author of the famous book, The Histories? Now, moving on from that brief trivia segment, in 276 BC to 195 BC, Eratosthenes, a chief librarian, was the first to calculate the Earth's circumference. He did this by measuring the lengths of shadows of poles he stuck into the ground. He used the differences in shadows to figure out that the Earth's circumference was about 25,000 miles, which is accurate within a few percent of the actual circumference. Eratosthenes is credited with discovering that the Earth is round. Now moving on to the trivia. Question number 2. What was Eratosthenes' estimate for the Earth's circumference? Moving on to Archimedes. Archimedes was born in 287 BC and died in 212 BC. Archimedes is credited for many things, such as discovering how to find the volume of an object. This is called Archimedes' principle, and it states that an object that floats in water will displace its weight, and an object that sinks will displace its volume. He discovered this while taking a bath, and is very useful when it comes to measuring the volume of objects. Archimedes is also famously known for inventing the Archimedes' screw, an invention which was used to remove water from large ships. It looked like this, and it would rotate to move the water up the pipe and out the other end. This is still used today for sewage and water treatment plants, among other things as well. Archimedes is also famous for his works on other mathematics as well. Moving on to the trivia. Question number... Wait a second. Big Floppa? Why are you here? Hiss, cat noises. Bingus is sick and you're his substitute? Oh, well that's sad. I hope he gets well soon. But in the meantime, question number 3. What was Archimedes' principle? Moving on from Archimedes to another famous mathematician called Pythagoras. Little of what is known about Pythagoras comes from his contemporary writings and from what his students wrote down. Pythagoras earned his fame with the Pythagorean theorem, which is a mathematical equation to find the hypotenuse of a triangle. A squared plus b squared equals c squared, with c being the hypotenuse and a and b being the other sides that form the right triangle. Trivia question number 4. What was the Pythagorean theorem? Hippocrates, otherwise known as the father of medicine, was born in the 5th century BCE. In fact, he was so popular that he earned notice and praise from both Plato and Aristotle, two renowned and respected people at the time. The Hippocratic writings, which by the way were not written by Hippocrates, were 60 medical works which were compiled by many doctors and physicians at the time. It contained many ideas that we use today, such as patient confidentiality. It includes many other things, such as the Hippocratic Oath, an oath all medical students must take in order to become doctors. The Hippocratic Oath is an oath written by Hippocrates that says the doctor will do no harm, they will treat all with the best of their abilities, respect patient privacy, and so on and so forth. The Hippocratic writings also included many works from other people besides Hippocrates, which also include presumptions on what diseases and how to treat wounds and other injuries. Trivia question number 5. How many documents were in the Hippocratic writings? Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle were 3 well-known and renowned philosophers. Socrates is known to have developed thoughts that made Western culture what it is today. Socrates invented the Socratic method of thinking, which is a way of asking questions and answering to make the other person think about their own knowledge and beliefs. Socrates angered a lot of people, however, because he had told them that their way of thinking was wrong. So he was put on trial and was sentenced to hemlock poisoning. Not much was known about Socrates because he didn't write anything down. We know most of what we know about him from Plato's writings. Trivia question number 6. Why and how was Socrates killed? Plato was a student of Socrates, and after Socrates was executed, he traveled the lands. During this time, he wrote in a style called dialogue, which involved many characters from many points of views. The main character was often Socrates and involved his philosophies. Most of what we know about Socrates comes from Plato's dialogues. Plato wrote in total 30 dialogues. Plato's most famous writing is called the Republic. It's about many characters including Socrates, who talk about being just and unjust can affect another person's life. They conclude that the philosopher king should be the one ruling or in charge. Plato returned to Athens and formed the Academy, a school that taught science, philosophy, biology, and astrology. Trivia question number 7. About how many dialogues did Plato write? Aristotle was a student at the Academy for 20 years. Aristotle was a student of Plato, and after leaving the Academy, he traveled through Greece and Turkey. He wrote several works and always had no idea of how our world should be studied or viewed. Aristotle liked to see the world as it was, unlike the philosophers of Greece who only thought about the world. Aristotle was the first to dissect animals to learn more about what they are. Aristotle studied biology and was the first to classify animals as separate species and tried to figure out the functions of their different organs. Aristotle was chosen by Philip II of Macedonia to teach his son Alexander. Aristotle taught him philosophy, math, logic, and so on. Alexander went on to be one of the greatest Roman leaders of all time. Afterwards, he returned to Athens to start his own school called the Peripatetic School. It taught logic, physics, politics, public speaking, and philosophy. Aristotle studied logic, and his ideas filled over 2,000 pages. But some of his more famous ones include syllogism, which is a type of reasoning that if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. For example, if chickens lay eggs and I own a chicken, then I own the chicken's eggs. This concludes my video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I put a lot of work into it, so make sure to smash like and subscribe. Later.